Hello and welcome to Security Maturity Model for MSPs, Unlocking New Opportunities, sponsored by Total. I'm your host, Kenna Johnson from the Channel Company. Today we're going to discuss what a security maturity model looks like for MSPs and the benefits of moving up the security curve with Total. Here today we have Darren Swan, Channel Chief, Samir Jain, Vice President of Product, and Patrick Orzechowski, Vice President of Security Research and Intelligence from Total. Welcome, Darren, Samir, and Patrick.
Thank you, Kenna.
Thank you.
Hello.
Glad to have you all here, and let's get started. Segment 1, the evolution of MSPs. Darren, what are you hearing and seeing from your partners right now?
You have to break that down. You have prospective Total customers, partners, and then you have existing. Very different night and day. What we hear from a lot of prospective partners, ones that are curious about Total and wanting to look at us, what we hear from them is they've lost confidence. They've lost confidence in their security products and over-tooling that they've been operating against. They've lost confidence in their team's ability to scale cybersecurity because, let's be honest, most of them have reasonable and really good, tight networking skills, but they're lacking the cybersecurity talent and skill set. So the other thing is they're worried about their customers. They're worried about themselves. They don't know what they don't know. And so our existing partners, it's very different. It's like they get a new fresh pair of glasses. And what they see and what they experience is that peace of mind, is that confidence, is that comfort that they're doing everything possible to protect their clients. Now, when you take those two kind of perspectives and then you kind of take it up a level to the market realities, cybersecurity, is crazy. Let's just call it what it is. $6 trillion worth of damages last year by threat actors. $8 trillion worth of damages by threat actors this year in 2023. McKinsey has a great report out there that pins the cybersecurity services and product market at $2 trillion that we're 10 times unable to serve, right? So when you kind of look at those two dimensions, it's the scariest of times, but also the flip coin of that is it's the biggest growth opportunity for service providers ever. Let's go. So it's time for a new approach. It's time for a strategy that you can demonstrate and defend and deliver scalable cybersecurity services against.
Patrick, what is the current state of security for many organizations, and why can it lead to high cost and ineffectiveness?
To what Darren said, security needs to be baked in, right? You have to look at it from a complication standpoint, right? You have all these point solutions that are deployed, and MSPs especially have to support 10, 12, 15 products that they're not experts in, right? So that's one piece of it, just a complicated landscape when it comes to the product ecosystem. Number two, I would say, is the wide availability of malicious code, right? Nation state actors have their code breached all the time. And now ransomware actors are using that code to attack Main Street, right? The businesses that traditionally haven't been targets are now learning that they need to take security seriously and bake it in to what Darren's point was. You have to choose a framework, choose a philosophy like zero trust, defense in depth, and then be honest with yourself about where your gaps are. First internally, and then for your customers, right? As a service provider, as someone who's built an MSSP, it always kept me up at night thinking about what our internal controls were because our customers trusted us with their security, so we had to take it very, very seriously. The third prong, I would say, is the talent shortage, right? Folks really want to hire good security talent, but there's not enough out there, right? There's estimates of 500,000 up to 1 million cybersecurity jobs that are unfilled. Yet, we have the government coming out with their cybersecurity policies. We have all of the pipelines need to follow certain guidelines, and they just don't have the cybersecurity talent. So outsourcing those skills is critical for MSPs. It's critical for enterprises and even mom and pop shops on Main Street at this point.
Darren, how does this opportunity allow MSPs to reinvent themselves and help clients solve their security challenges?
This is a journey. And so as part of that journey, you're pivoting out of traditional commodity IT services into security first. You're pivoting from keeping the IT lights on and keeping the laptop working and then making sure the internet service provider is providing pipe to, I want to make sure you can still manufacture. I want to make sure you can still see patients. I want to make sure you can still provide accounting services. I want to make sure your law firm doesn't get compromised because then you can't bill those great, awesome rates. I want to make sure you can sell homes. You're taking the conversation into the boardroom, into the shareholder room, into the executive leadership room, and going with what matters most to them, the crown jewels of the business, their lifelong legacy to everything they built and wake up in the morning to go invest all their day into. That's what you're protecting. And every customer, regardless, I don't care of the cheapest customer to the biggest customer. And that's why this cybersecurity maturity model is so important, because you need to go to your cheapest customer and have the conversation around, this is how bad you are. This is how scary it is. And I can no longer accept this, because when the bad thing happens and I don't do my job to protect you and do everything I can to protect you, that cyber risk insurance policy is coming in and they're going to look at me of why I didn't do my job. So I can't accept it any longer. I need to step you up. I need to take you on this journey to make sure your business is properly protected, because the world's changed. We have to lock our doors now. We can't keep our doors unlocked and put our laptop on our front seat of our car. That doesn't work.
Let's move to segment 2, the security maturity model for MSPs. Samir, why is the security model important to understand?
A very important question, Kenna. By using a security model, an MSP can understand their current security posture and transform from ad hoc security to a fully optimized, risk-based, repeatable, and adaptive organization. A framework that aligns the people, the process, and technology to a cyber framework should be considered. PPT frameworks have been around for a while and is a commonly used foundation to drive business transformation. It provides concrete focus areas to assess the current state of cybersecurity posture, and then roadmap and transform while keeping a careful balance to ensure success. So having a well-defined model makes it possible for MSPs to make an honest assessment of their current state, taking a holistic view across the people, the process, and technology to see where they are. And with that baseline established, they can then determine what the security maturity looks like, asking themselves questions like, is security a critical business and a sales tool a true differentiator? What financial and security goals do I have over the next 1, 3, 5, 7 years? What is the current market size? How does that expand if we move up the security maturity curve? And then what resources can we commit to moving up that curve? So by carefully thinking through these questions, an MSP can plot out what's realistic for them to achieve based on their resource constraint, as Patrick mentioned. And from there on, you can identify the gaps you have across the people, the process, and tech stack, developing a roadmap to fill them, and looking for vendors that can help you with that journey.
And if I could just add to that, every partner needs a North Star. They need a destination. They need a direction to go towards. Historically, it's been, I need another tool, I need another tool, I need another tool. That doesn't scale. So any framework, just, a lot of clients, based on the regulatory environment that they're in, there's a defined destination for them, CMMC or NIST framework, or what have you. But any North Star that you have based on different clients or as a standard for all your clients, every partner should have a North Star framework to operate off of.
The next question is for Patrick. You've analyzed common cybersecurity frameworks and what it takes to have an effective security program. What can you share from your research and how it applies to MSPs?
First and foremost, I think Samir hit the nail on the head with the idea of an honest assessment, right, of your own controls. Checking a box or filling out a spreadsheet that says that you do these things and when you don't actually do them is not effective, right? So at Total, we have a maturity model that we've built that has 5 stages, right? Informal, partial, foundational, repeatable, adaptive. And it's a good, to Darren's point, North Star on how organizations can find themselves where they are on the curve. It's not just a matter of, again, to Darren's point, like installing a firewall and putting AV on your endpoints at this point. There's a holistic approach that needs to happen for security to be able to effectively defend yourself. And even when you have all of the boxes checked and you're doing those things, attackers will always jump over that bar, right? They're always looking for ways in, no matter what framework you use, no matter how many controls you can check, those attackers will find a way in, right? So as you move up the curve, if you are putting the latest whiz-bang product out there or doing red team assessments against customers who don't have an effective firewall or endpoint solution, you're kind of putting the cart before the horse, right? So to Sameer's point, you have to follow a journey with your security maturity and be honest with yourself. Okay, here's where we are. Here's where we want to be. This is how we move up the curve. If that's technology, we need to do that. If we need process, if we need a formal incident response process and you don't have one, critically important. If it's people, right? Obviously, I mentioned earlier, you want to outsource to experts if you can, or hire experts if that's plausible as well. So, the people, process, and technology is all part of a security maturity journey. And it's not just, a vendor or a product that's going to solve that problem.
Sameer, what challenges do organizations face while trying to move up the curve?
So, Kenna, there are both technical and business challenges as organizations move from the 5 stages that Patrick mentioned, from more of an ad hoc, where there is no common understanding of security across the leadership, for example, where there is more reliance on the technical problem that are typically solved using a point solution, to a more risk-based, adaptive security maturity curve, where the rewards are outstanding. Some of the technical challenges are, one is obviously the tech debt. So the existing investments and the contracts around the legacy point solutions, and then they have built processes and orienting people around that point solution, oftentimes delivering poor security outcomes, or maybe vendors are not keeping up with the latest threat landscape. As Patrick mentioned before, cybersecurity talent shortage, right? So that's a big challenge to overcome. It can be difficult to attract and retain the right people to design and run an end-to-end security program. And then on the business side, there has to be more of a shift to more of a value-based conversations on how better security helps businesses, and that could be oftentimes difficult because the current go-to-market might be more current tools based, right? So I think those are a couple of challenges around the technical and business side.
Darren, what's the competitive advantage MSPs gain by pivoting to security-first services?
It's significant and probably the biggest competitive advantage they're ever going to have in their business model, where they're focusing on keeping their customer business doors open. So competitively and comparatively, the other competition is going to tell the customer all the things that they're going to install and configure and manage, something Patrick brought up earlier. It's impossible to be an expert in all these capabilities, right? And what we're enabling our partners to do is bring to the customer an enterprise leading service, consolidated, all in one, networking and security platform that covers a lot of different attributes of their security stack into a single pane of glass, single agent approach, right? Think about that comparatively. If our partner's talking to a customer and then the other competitive MSP is actually talking to the customer about all the tools and parts and pieces and capabilities, the customer's brain gets rubberized, right? But when our partners go in and talk to the customer, they're talking about business value, ensuring you can manufacture, ensuring you can ship, ensuring you can see patients, ensuring we keep the crown jewels safe, ensuring nobody accesses company confidential, information, ensuring somebody that might have been terminated doesn't download, delete, or move, or steal, or destruct, making sure all these things aren't taking place within the business. And it's demonstratable, right? Because part of it too is that the partner, the MSP, transitioning to security first, they have to position themselves in that business value lens. They have to level themselves up in their conversation. So with that, they're able to actually increase the value of the recurring revenue. So we see partners driving a significant amount more than the traditional IT services with a bunch of security products on top counterparts. So it is a tremendous differentiation to the point where we actually have partners that say, I don't tell any other MSP about Total. It's my secret weapon in my marketplace. So everybody, you got to have a cybersecurity strategy. Total is your all-in-one networking security platform that does give you that differentiation, that does give you that compelling argument. I'll just say one more thing. So when it comes down to the risk of partners willing to accept, that's one of the another looking in the mirror moments. So when Patrick was talking about they need to look in the mirror and decide what they're willing to accept in terms of risk, don't go after every single bit of business you can possibly find. You want to find customers that care about their business as much as you do. So when it comes down to the risk factors, you got to be honest with them about, hey, I can't accept this level of risk. I'm sure there's somebody else that's willing to, but I'm not. That's a really compelling kind of message to tell the client, because a lot of them, as we all know, are not willing to invest properly in protecting their business. The organization they spend 5, 10, 15, 20 years on building, the one that they have maybe family members operating inside, the ones that they have customers, suppliers, partners, a whole ecosystem to be concerned about. This is all stuff you need to have a conversation around with your client. So there's a lot at stake. And as we all have on this call, I think, speaking with the Total side, we've seen the other side of the face of the Zoom, right? Where people have experienced a compromise. It's not fun. Customers don't want to have that happen to them. And our objective, our goal to empower and enabling our partners is to ensure it doesn't.
Can I add something? In 20 years of working with service providers, enterprises, government, the folks who get targeted take it very seriously. And now what we're seeing is cybersecurity is table stakes for every business. Whether you're selling cupcakes or whether you're manufacturing medical devices or whatever, your business has to rely on cybersecurity to keep you protected from attackers, right? Because it's not just nation states or hacker groups that target Fortune 500s anymore. It's everybody. So what I mentioned earlier with the ubiquitous nature of code, you can attack any business and get as much out of them as you possibly can. Ransomware becomes a negotiation, right? It's you ask for 100,000 from Joe's Cleaners down the block, and maybe he'll pay 5,000, right? And the ransomware actors know it's a negotiation. They're just trying to get money from it. And there's thousands and thousands of businesses out there who are now realizing they have to take cybersecurity seriously. And it's table stakes for MSPs at this point. You can't just rely on point solution products. You have to have a full security model, security maturity model, and a stack that supports your ability to protect your customers.
Yeah, and to add to that, it's double clicking on what security first means. You're thinking about security first. When you operate against a framework, right, as the North Star of where you need to take them, typically most of the customer client environments, including a lot of service providers environments, they're going to be on the far left. They're not going to have all the boxes checked, right? Fully, maybe sometimes completely honestly. And so with that, it's protect the customer, because you could be doing a project. You could be, first I got to go move all these resources to Azure, and then I got to go do a migration, and then I got protect the customer first, because all those other projects won't matter when it's a dumpster fire because of a compromise. All those things get pushed off to the side when the company can't operate and they can't deliver whatever they do as a core business. So security first means urgency. Start there. How exposed is my client? How at risk are they? How much do they have to lose? If they don't care, maybe they're not the right client. I would question, whether I'd have them in my client portfolio if they just really didn't care about protecting a $20, $50, $100 million business. That's insanity. So operate towards a framework, think about how you protect everything first. And there are simple steps and approaches to do so, to knock out the largest percentage of risk area first, and then to layer on another piece and layer on another piece. And it doesn't have to be a long-term effort. I think that's part of some of the challenge we're seeing out there in the market. To add to the comments up front, a lot of the tooling, that we've seen in the market, they haven't advanced as fast as the threat actors have advanced themselves. We know it's a continuous cat and mouse game here, right? And so, but what Total has done is brought all these enterprise leading capabilities, the ones that the biggest governments and the corporations and the world, the same tools, techniques, and methods that threat actors use against the biggest governments and corporations, same as what they're going after Main Street with. It's just as a service on the dark web. So we have to equip and arm our partners with the same level of capabilities so they can do the proper defensive mechanisms to make sure the customer doesn't get compromised. And so it's not the way the tools used to be, the products in the market as they are. Some of them just haven't advanced fast enough, as fast as, of course, Total has with their foot on the gas pedal. We've been on a very exciting journey here to build the best possible products in market so we can enable quick protection, defense in depth, operating towards checking those boxes and those frameworks so that there's peace of mind outcomes and preventions that take place.
That brings us to segment 3, how to move up the curve faster with Total. Samir, how can Total help address those challenges and help organizations move up the curve?
Threats hitting enterprises are now coming mainstream, downstream to hit SMBs and mid-market companies. Using the same threat vectors and the enterprise-grade tool set, we can help organizations quickly move up the security maturity curve with the first ever platform to unify SASE and SIEM, NMXDR, GRC for risk and compliance, endpoint security, EDR, and next-gen antivirus, and more into a cloud-first single agent platform. On the security platform side, we deliver over 15 enterprise-leading connectivity, prevention, detection, and response capabilities, eliminating the complexity, the cost, and the challenges of operating a point solution-based security stack. So with Total, any business can operate an end-to-end security program, also depending upon where you are at the security maturity curve. So with SASE, as Darren mentioned, right, securely connecting user systems and endpoints to services running anywhere, whether they are on-prem, hybrid cloud, or public-private cloud, doesn't matter. And then on the cloud-managed SIEM, we say cloud-managed SIEM because it not only provides the broader visibility and based on your use cases, right, whether you have compliance use cases or whether you have security detect and respond use cases across all threat vectors. We manage all the detections for you. So we have a fully very talented detection engineering team run by Patrick, where we are actually creating all of these detections fully managed by us, right? So the customer, the organization does not have to spend times managing the detections or fine-tuning it. All of that comes out of the box, right? Same thing with reporting and dashboard. So you can focus more on the security outcome as opposed to trying to figure out what's latest and whatnot. We also have endpoint security. And then a quick point on the MDR service that offer, right? So we have the industry best SLAs and SLOs on responding to different severity threats, very real-time nature of the detection and response capabilities with a very tight stack integration. We also have GRC for compliance and risk rate, as well as land zero trust principles. So we have designed the platform to be modular from day one, allowing the organizations to pick and choose the modules they need, either to fill gaps that they may have in the portfolio, or to replace existing solutions completely with the Total platform, or to consolidate their entire security stack into one platform.
Patrick, how can Total's all-in-one platform and expertise help MSPs propel to the end of the security maturity model?
Samir hit the nail on the head with all of the points about the platform and the technology itself and the people in our MDR service. I would say, the end is an interesting term, right? I don't think there's ever an end, right? I think that it's a journey and it's a life cycle, right? And security, it will never be over. right? You never say, well, I'm done with cybersecurity. We're all good. We're protected. We check the box, right? So, I think the theme here has been continuous improvement, right? From a people, process, and technology perspective. So start with the technology. We're attracting some of the best cybersecurity talent in the industry because the tech is great. Starting all the way down the stack at the network, the SASE product, going all the way up to protecting folks on the web and proxy, to protecting folks at the endpoint. And a lot of what security is a feeling. It's that warm and fuzzy, safe feeling that you're doing what you can to protect yourself. A lot like physical security, right? You definitely want to make sure that you're implementing the best products to protect your business. And then on top of that, you need people. You need folks to watch the logs coming into your SIM. You need folks to build detections. You need folks to make sure that your endpoint solution, it has the latest and greatest behavioral detections. Because as Darren said, the actors are always developing new ways to get around blue team or defensive positions, right? So, at Total, we're doing that. That's our passion. That's what we live every single day. So when you choose a company like Total, you're getting a company that actually is built from the ground up to protect businesses. I think that's what attracted me to come to Total. It's such a great platform and simplifies the ability for the customer to secure their employees and their customers the way that they need to without swivel chairing to 20 different products.
Darren, any parting words?
This is the most exciting moment and the scariest moment at the same exact time to really like what was covered today, right? With Patrick talking about the need to look in the mirror, right? And also create a North Star destination with what Samir talked about. And then our technology and how unique and special it actually is to some of the things I said, which is around the business side also, right? Because there is, as Patrick was just speaking there, there's a whole new set of confidence. There's a whole new pair of glasses, it seems, our partners get when you're doing everything possible, right? I mentioned earlier, it's a continuous cat and mouse game, and Patrick mentioned also it's a journey, not a destination, where you have an organization behind you that can bring the enterprise leading capabilities in a unified manner, across the whole stack, from the cloud to the endpoint, the network and everything in the middle, with a team that backs it, that's behind it, that sees everything, that's action, that's right there with you, live and messaging channels with you. This is unique. This is very special, but that unique and special becomes our partners unique and special too, right? So that ability to defensively and demonstrate to your customers, to your insurance carriers, to your compliance officers, whatever it is, look at all my check boxes, look at my demonstrating all the preventions and the protections I did. Now, same thing with the client and taking that conversation up to the business level so you can talk about how you're going to protect the organizational operations, the day-to-day flow, quote to cash, services, product engineering, development, shipping, manufacturing, all these different things, because that's what they care about. So there's a big shift here. We are no longer IT service professionals. We are security professionals now, delivering security services to protect our customers' business. Now, all the service providers out there, yes, they'll still work on IT and keep those lights on, but our business value has changed, our organizational and operational structure has changed. There's lots of pieces in the mix here, but we're all security professionals. And then the idea of security first, start there. Start with how you're going to protect everything first. Start with how you're going to lock the doors and put a perimeter fence and put cameras up and do all the things to protect your critical asset, your MSP business and all your customers. And then take that same story and that same message out to every single one of your clients. Talk about how you're going to protect their customers, their employees, their workforce, their operations, everything. And that conversation is going to help you earn more and make more Now, remember up front, I said there's a $6 trillion of damages last year, $8 trillion of damages of cyber criminal, for this year, and $2 trillion market opportunity. This is your time. This is your opportunity to go do the right thing, protect everybody as best you possibly can, of course, with toll, but also get justly paid for that as well, right? Because you're attaching the business value, not commodity IT. Reach out to us. We can show you a 30-minute demo. Very, very exciting.
Darren, Samir, and Patrick, thank you so much for your time today. And thank you at home for watching. If you'd like to learn more about Total, visit the website at the bottom of your screen. For the Channel Company, I'm Kenna Johnson.